Officer Delkey after being booked. Now we've got a short video here, approximately 50 seconds, from taken from a surveillance camera across the street, giving a much better angle and showing you pretty much exactly what happened during this officer-involved shooting over in Nashville, Tennessee, back first of the month. In this, you could see that the man being chased never raised his arm, never offered to point his gun anywhere except the ground, and was shot in the back. He was fired. The officer fired 4 times and hit him 3. I'm wondering where the 4th bullet went and if they ever found it. Anyway, on to the article. Have a good one. Constitutionality News here with an update to a video I posted a couple of weeks ago. Well, several weeks ago actually. This is about the white police officer in Nashville who fatally shot a black man. This is dated September 28th, sort of an update and follow-up. A white police officer in Nashville who fatally shot a black man who was running away from him was charged with criminal homicide on Thursday, that official said. In the video of the July 26th shooting, which prosecutors released last month, Officer Andrew Delkey of the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department can clearly be seen chasing the man, Daniel Hambrick, and firing several rounds at him from behind. Mr. Hambrick, 25, was holding a gun at the time of the shooting and was told to drop it, according to an affidavit signed Thursday. The affidavit, filed by an investigator with the district attorney's office, said Officer Delkey, 25, has unsuccessfully tried to stop a white Chevrolet Impala earlier in the day and later pulled into a parking lot near another white vehicle, which he mistook for the Impala. Several people were in the area, the affidavit said, and when the officer arrived, Mr. Hambrick ran. Officer Delkey chased him, even though he did not know if the man was connected to either vehicle. Officer Delkey fired at Mr. Hambrick 4 times, striking him 3 times, and the affidavit said once in the back of the head, once in the back, and once in the left torso. Medics responded, but Mr. Hambrick died a short time after the shooting, the authorities have said. In a telephone interview, David L. Rabin, one of the Officer Delkey's lawyers, said that backup officers had been summoned to the scene the day of the shooting, and so although Mr. Hambrick was running away from Officer Delkey, he was running toward other arriving officers with a weapon. Tennessee law permits a police officer to use deadly force when there is danger to others. He said Officer Delkey was protecting himself and his backup and the public. Yeah, he wasn't protecting anything but himself. The man was running away. He really, in my opinion, had no business shooting him, but I'm not a police officer and I wasn't there, so I can't say for sure. Anyway, to continue. Mr. Rabin and a spokesman for the Nashville-Davidson County District Attorney said they could not recall another case in which a Nashville police officer had been charged with such a crime for an act that happened while on duty. And to continue, Mr. Rabin said his client had been decommissioned, meaning he currently has no active law enforcement duties, but is still a police officer and is still drawing his salary. He said Officer Delkey would eventually plead not guilty. His next court date of preliminary hearing is scheduled for October 30th. And I'll keep following along on this, try to post an update at that time. The spokesman, Steve Hayslip, said that the court commissioner had refused to sign the criminal homicide affidavit when prosecutors first presented it on Thursday morning. Prosecutors then took it to a judge who signed it. Officer Delkey turned himself in quickly and was released after posting a $25,000 bail, Mr. Rabin said. The decision to institute charges by warrant as opposed to presenting the matter directly to a grand jury allows this case to be presented in open court in as transparent a manner as possible, the District Attorney Glenn R. Funk said in a statement. As this is a pending criminal case, I will have no further extrajudicial comments. The shooting has spurred protests and civic action. Days after the video of the shooting was released, activists from Black Lives Matter Nashville and other organizations marched through the city. A coalition that included the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also proposed the creation of a civilian board which would investigate allegations of police misconduct. Now, the proposal will be voted on in November despite efforts by police to kill the measure. Frankly, I think that's not a bad idea at all. I think they should have a civilian board to oversee what cops do. After all, isn't that kind of what the First Amendment audit is about? Think about it. Chief Steve Anderson of the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department called the death of Mr. Hambrick a tragedy, while also noting that Officer Delkey's family and the police department have been affected by the shooting and its reverberations. Because other law enforcement agencies are handling the shooting investigation, the department's administrative investigation is open but on hold. Officer Delkey, he added, had been working a desk job but was decommissioned because of the criminal charge, a move he said was consistent with protocol. In his own statement, Mayor David Briley of Nashville, said the decision to file charges in this case is a necessary step. Put simply, we must have laws that are fairly, equally, and transparently applied, he said. The affidavit, signed Thursday, offered new details about the alleged sequence of events on the day of the shooting. It said that Officer Delkey was patrolling in North Nashville when he became suspicious about the Chevrolet Impala, apparently because it had stopped at a stop sign and conceded the right-of-way to him. He began to follow the Impala, and even after running the license plate and learning that it was not stolen, he continued to follow to see if he could develop a reason to stop the Impala, the affidavit said. Typical thug mentality. He'll follow to see if he can figure out some reason to stop him. Anyway, the officer eventually turned on his blue lights as the Impala pulled into the interstate, but the vehicle did not stop, and the officer lost track of it, the affidavit said. Still, Officer Delkey kept looking for the Impala and eventually pulled in an apartment parking lot where he mistook another white sedan for the Impala. The affidavit said, oh, Lord, another mistake. A repeat of Texas, possibly. Another mistaken identity thing here, only this time it was a car, not a human. Anyway, he pulled up next to the sedan and stopped, and Mr. Hambrick took off running, the affidavit said. Officer Delkey ran after him, the affidavit added, noting that Officer Delkey did not know the man's identity and did not know with certainty if the man had been inside either the Impala or the white sedan. No, he didn't know what the hell he's running for, but he decided to chase him anyway. Okay, enough said. So basically what this boils down to, at least from my point of view, is this black guy took off running apparently from the police. He saw the police were after him possibly for carrying a gun, which they say he did have in his hand. But it's my understanding that if you're running away from the officer, they're not really supposed to use deadly force. Now, if he had turned around and pointed a gun at the officer, I could understand it, very much so. But that's not what happened here. Anyway, I welcome your comments. Please like and subscribe. Take care. And this is Constitutionality News, and I'm out once again.